My name is Laura Bennett. I'm 38 years old and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I want to tell you about the Tuesday evening I came home from work and found my husband standing in the middle of our living room, surrounded by boxes. Not packed boxes. Empty ones. Stacked neatly like he had been planning something for a while, just waiting for me to walk through the door. I set my keys on the counter, the same way I had every evening for 9 years, and looked at him. "What is all this?" I asked. He didn't look nervous. That was the first thing I noticed. "Kicked, certain." "Laura," he said, "I need you to start packing your things tonight. My brother Trevor and his wife are moving in tomorrow." I stood there letting each word sink in. Trevor. Moving in. Tomorrow. I asked him if he was joking. He said no. He explained that Trevor had lost his job 3 months ago. That he and his wife Dana couldn't pay rent. That the right thing to do was to let family stay in the house until they got back on their feet. "In our house?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "Our house." And then, like it was nothing, he added that I could stay with my sister or my mom for a while, until things settled. I stared at my husband of 9 years. The man whose last name I took. The man I built a life with. And something inside me went very cold, and very still. "Ryan," I said slowly, "whose name is on that mortgage?" He brushed it off. Said it was fine. Said we could talk about details later. "No," I said. "We're talking about it now. To understand why that moment hit me the way it did, you need to understand what that house meant to me. Ryan and I bought that house on Cloverdale Drive 7 years ago. 3 bedrooms. 2 bathrooms. A backyard with a deck I designed myself. And he helped build over 2 weekends in October. The down payment was $47,000. I put in $31,000 of that. Money I had saved over 6 years, long before I ever met him. Ryan contributed $16,000. Both our names were on the mortgage. But the truth? I had carried more of that house from the very beginning, and not by a small margin. I worked as a senior project manager at a healthcare software company. I had spent 11 years building my career from the ground up. Ryan worked in car sales. He was good at it, but his income came in waves. Good months. Bad months. And in those bad months, I quietly covered more than my share. I never made a big deal out of it. Because I trusted him. Because I believed we were a team. For 9 years I believed that decisions about our home were something we made together. But what Ryan did that evening? That wasn't a conversation. It wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't even a discussion. It was a decision. A decision he made alone, to give our home to his brother, and tell me to pack. And standing there in that kitchen with empty boxes stacked around him, I finally saw something I had been avoiding for a long time. I didn't pack that night. Instead, I sat down at the kitchen table, and made him sit across from me. If he wasn't going to have a conversation, I was going to force one. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. "A few weeks," he said. "A few weeks." He had been planning to give our house to someone else. For weeks. And he hadn't said a word to me. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. He hesitated. Then said, "Because I knew you'd say no. I wanted to think it through first." But what he really meant was this. He wanted to go far enough with the plan that backing out would be difficult. So my objection would feel like the problem, not his decision. And suddenly I saw it. This wasn't new. Ryan had always done this on a smaller scale. He would make decisions first, and present them as final. So if I pushed back, I looked unreasonable. For years I told myself it was just how he was. Just his personality. But sitting across from him that night, I realized it wasn't personality. It was control. That I didn't argue with him after that. I didn't raise my voice or try to out-talk him. I just listened, really listened, as he explained himself, as if saying it out loud would somehow make it reasonable. Then I told him calmly and clearly that I needed space. I needed honesty. And more than anything, I needed time to decide whether there was anything left here worth saving. He didn't fight me on it. He just nodded. That was the part that hurt in a different way. Not the betrayal itself, but how easily he accepted the consequences once everything was exposed. Like some part of him had already prepared for this ending. That night he booked a separate room. I stayed outside a little longer, standing in the quiet of the garden, letting everything settle into something I could carry. 3 days after I got home, I found out who had slipped the note under my door. She was a woman from his company. Not someone close to him, just someone who had been at that same conference in Sacramento. She'd seen them together in the hotel bar. Really seen them. Not the kind of interaction you can explain away. She carried that knowledge for 7 months. 7 months of going back and forth, telling herself it wasn't her place, that maybe she was wrong, that maybe it would end on its own. Until she heard about the wedding. 2 weeks away. And something in her decided silence would be worse. She left me a voicemail. Hesitant. Like she still wasn't sure if she had done the right thing. I called her back and told her she had. But she had. The months that followed didn't fall apart the way I expected. They rearranged themselves quietly. The apartment felt different once he moved out. Not emptier, just quieter in a way that belonged entirely to me. The kind of quiet you can shape instead of endure. I started going to the farmer's market on Saturdays. No reason, no plan. Just something I had always wanted to do and never did. I painted the spare room a deep green and turned it into a place to sit and read. No guests. No expectations. Just mine. I signed up for a pottery class with my neighbor. She turned out to be funnier than I expected, and through her I met people who knew nothing about my past and didn't need to. My best friend and I didn't speak for 4 months. It was the longest silence we had ever had between us. Then, in October, she sent me a letter. 6 pages. Handwritten. No excuses. No attempts to soften what she had done. Just the truth laid out plainly, and an understanding that I might never want to come back from it. I read it twice. Then I put it away and let it sit for 3 weeks. Some things don't need an immediate answer. She and her fiancé never reconciled. He moved back to his home state, the place he had left for her. From what I've heard, he's doing okay. Better than okay, maybe. He got the job he always wanted. He adopted a dog. He's building something real. I think about him sometimes, sitting in that green room, and I feel something close to relief on his behalf. That he didn't step into a life built on something already broken. I think about that note too. About how close I came to throwing it away. How many people see something and choose silence because it's easier. Because it's cleaner. Because it's not technically their responsibility. And how many lives keep moving forward because of that silence. I still have my friend's letter. It's in my nightstand drawer. I haven't replied yet, but I haven't thrown it away either. And that, I think, means something. What I've learned is this. Finding out the truth isn't the hardest part. Once you know, you deal with it. You move through it. The harder part is deciding what to do next. You can let it harden you. Let it close you off, turn everything into something sharp and defensive. Or you can stand in the middle of everything that's been stripped away and decide, piece by piece, what you actually want your life to look like now. I chose the second. And I keep choosing it. Every day. The third point was the one that stayed with me, the one I kept coming back to after everything Ryan had said. He had looked me in the eye and told me, it's my house too. I get to decide. But according to Christine, that wasn't how it worked. Because he had made a financial decision about our shared property without my consent, I had solid grounds to file for legal separation. And once that was filed, it would immediately freeze any further decisions about the house until the court stepped in. Christine asked me what I wanted to do. I didn't hesitate. I want to file today. She told me she'd have everything ready by noon. That morning I went to work like nothing had happened. I answered emails. I joined a 10 o'clock call. I ate a granola bar at my desk. Ryan texted me 3 times asking where I was and when I'd be home. I replied once, early afternoon. I didn't mention the lawyer. I didn't mention the filing. At 12:30, I picked up the paperwork from Christine's office and sat in my car, reading every page slowly. It included a motion requesting exclusive temporary use of the house, meaning the court could grant me the right to stay there alone while everything was sorted out. Given the financial history, the down payment, and Ryan's unilateral decision, Christine said we had a strong case. There was also a formal notice addressed to Trevor and Dana, stating clearly that they were occupying a property under legal dispute without authorization from both owners. I closed the folder, took a breath, and drove home. Both trucks were there. Ryan's in the driveway. Trevor's on the street, trailer already unloaded. Some of their boxes were sitting on my porch. So this wasn't a plan anymore. It was already happening. I parked, sat for a moment, then went inside. Ryan was in the kitchen making sandwiches like this was just another normal day. Trevor and Dana were sitting at my table, scrolling on their phones. Without turning around, Ryan said, "Laura, I hope you've had time to think and you're ready to be reasonable about this. I didn't answer. I set my bag down, took out the folder and placed it on the table between Trevor and Dana. Ryan, I said calmly, I need you to read this. He turned, looked at the folder, then at me. Something shifted in his face, not anger yet. Something more cautious. Like he could feel the ground changing under him. He opened it. Read. 45 seconds later he looked up. What is this? That, I said, is a legal separation filing. And a motion for exclusive use of the house. It was filed this morning. Trevor stood up immediately. Dana went completely still. Ryan shook his head. You can't do this. I already did. This is our marriage, Laura. You don't file paperwork because you're upset about Trevor. Ryan, I cut in, you told me this was your house and you get to decide. Now the court will decide. I didn't join them when they went outside. The three of them stood in the backyard talking while I sat in the living room, reading through the documents again, answering a quick text from Christine confirming everything was moving forward. Through the glass door I could see Ryan doing most of the talking. Trevor had his arms crossed. Dana kept staring at the deck like she wished she wasn't there. 20 minutes later Ryan came back inside alone. He looked different. Not confident. Not decided. Isn't this house mine too? He asked. After everything, after the boxes, the orders, the certainty, that was the question he came back with. I held his gaze. That's exactly what the court is going to figure out. He exhaled slowly. Laura, I don't want this. I don't want a legal process. Can we just talk? We can talk, I said. But Trevor and Dana can't stay here. Not during a legal dispute. They have 72 hours to move their things. He looked down at the floor. I'll tell Trevor. Thank you. That night I called my sister and told her everything. When I finished she asked one question. What are you going to do about Ryan? I didn't answer right away. Because for the first time in a long time I wasn't reacting. I was thinking. Over the next 2 weeks more came to light. As part of the process, Christine requested full financial disclosures. And that's when I saw it. Over the past 8 months, Ryan had transferred $14,000 from our joint savings account to Trevor. 3 separate transfers. No agreements. No discussion. No mention. Just gone. The balance had seemed lower, but I hadn't questioned it closely enough. I had trusted that what we built together was being handled honestly. I was wrong. When I confronted him, with Christine present documenting everything, he said it was for family. That he meant to tell me. I looked at him and said, you don't forget to mention $14,000. You choose not to. He didn't argue. Because there wasn't anything left to argue with. What I could see now, clearly without trying to soften it, was that this hadn't started with Trevor moving in. That was just the final move. The visible one. What came before was a pattern. Quiet, consistent, and deliberate. Ryan had been making financial decisions behind my back for months. Moving money, supporting his brother, shaping our shared life without ever including me in it. The move-in plan wasn't sudden. It was the result of everything he'd already been doing in secret. Christine told me the financial transfers strengthened my case significantly. And when Ryan hired an attorney in the second week and that attorney reached out to discuss settlement options, I knew he finally understood the position he was in. What started as a separation became a divorce. That's the truth of it. And the truth is rarely clean. The process took 4 months. It wasn't easy. It wasn't pleasant. But it was fair. More fair than our marriage had been in a long time. In the end, the house on Cloverdale Drive was awarded to me. The down payment. The mortgage history. The $14,000 he moved without telling me. All of it pointed in one direction, clearly enough that his own lawyer advised him not to fight it. He moved out in February. I changed the locks that same afternoon. I didn't expect that moment to feel as significant as it did. But standing there turning a key in a lock that was finally, fully mine, something settled inside me. Not anger. Not even relief. Just certainty. Trevor and Dana found an apartment in Murfreesboro. From what I hear they're doing okay. And honestly I don't carry much resentment toward them. Trevor takes what's offered. Ryan was the one offering. That was never Trevor's decision to fix. Dana texted me about 6 weeks after everything was finalized. Just one line. I'm sorry for all of it. I told her I appreciated that. And I did. Ryan and I haven't spoken since the divorce was finalized. That isn't something I mourn. Something I chose. A boundary, not a loss. The house is different now. Not physically, at least not entirely. The deck we built together is still there. Still solid. Still something I sit on in the evenings when the Nashville air is soft enough to enjoy. But everything else feels clearer. I repainted the living room. A color I chose without compromise. I replaced the kitchen table. The mortgage comes out of my account now. No shared numbers. No quiet adjustments behind the scenes. Simple. Plain. White. A coworker asked me recently if I ever feel lonely in a house that big by myself. I thought about it for a second. And then I told her the truth. I've never felt more at home.